Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And also keep in mind, these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy.
All right, folks, here we are after market close on Wednesday, January 5th. We're going to take a look at Astra Space. So Astra coming down quite a bit today, but so did the entire market. So I just happened to be covering this by request on the day that the afternoon market absolutely took a tumble, and dragging along with that, a lot of stocks like Astra. So I wanted to kind of reconstruct the chart a little bit and see what we might be looking for. And I'll try to do it relatively succinctly, but while explaining a bit of what I'm doing. So I guess the one question that I'd have here is if Astra has potentially put in a double bottom here. Now, I don't know. This is certainly not a guarantee, but I would continue to watch what this does off of this, say, $6 range, and see if it sort of continues to reject $6 or what it does there, because that's right about where it drew down to again today, right? 605. This day it came down to 604. So being that the price has never been this low, we don't have anything else necessarily to go off of. So looking for a little like really recent fresh tea leaves. But it always is dependent on what the price action does with that, right? If it's really a double bottom here, it would have just put that in today, and we would expect some strong movements over the $6 level tomorrow, and more like toward the probably like 675 level, right? I expect like big moves up toward that direction relatively quickly. And if not, and it flips 6 from support to resistance, then the bottom is certainly not in. So, just keep that in mind. That's all just looking for signs, but you need to see and respect what the price is doing at any given point in time. Now, the other thing that sort of plays a potential factor here is that there's this downtrend support that is also intersecting right with that level at this point in time. Now, if it does continue to be downtrend support, right, the other obvious thing there is it could continue to come down and fall below 6 and still just treat this as downtrend support. So I would just watch to see what it potentially does with those things. Now, if it is able to get any motion upward, trying to look, this price action is so herky-jerky. I would maybe even lop off all of this craziness up here, right? Because it's relatively brief and then has struggled to return back to that level since then. But this is, holding up a bit more concretely. This uptrend resistance. So I know this feels like really far off for the time being, but I like to put these things in because it is on the daily chart, so it's helpful to refer back to it if and when trends reverse or just fortunes change and the company is in a different place. At least you have some signposts in to help guide you along the way. And that could be one of them. Now, relatively strong zone here around 838. So if it does come up, I look for it to probably press for some resistance there, as well as it's a little bit like in between here. Maybe the strong level is here, like 778. So I'd say there's, about 60 cents there. That's probably a pretty sticky level, but wouldn't be the worst thing if it is able to come up to it, that it consolidates and sort of gets itself into a range there and builds a base from which to make its next move. But for the time being, like I said, need to see what it does off of this purple box, and or if it just continues to follow this downtrend support further down. Now, looking previously at the price action, let me just zoom back out here for the year. I would say things that have seemed to play pretty strong roles, this 180 MA might be worth kind of popping up on your chart, because you see that's where it flipped from resistance to support there and had this huge liftoff, came down. This candle tried to catch it, but then it flipped it to resistance, and then it drew down a lot. And then when it came back up here, it tried to breach it again, but that's where it then just hit all of this resistance and sold off again. And then the same thing happened here. And even now it sort of is in this slightly downward diagonal direction, basically acting as downtrend resistance. And so I'd keep a strong eye on that, because that seems to me to have been a pretty solid sort of guidepost to see if it's able to actually flip that from resistance to support and make a strong move away from it. That to me, if it can build a base over the 180, like actually base over it, not just have this like erratic brief action, here and here, but actually build a base over it. And again, not a spike, but establish some price action over it. If it had done this and then it would have done this, that's what I'm talking about, right? Price action. And then once it meets the 180 again, because the 180 will start to come up, does the 180 start to carry it up higher? That to me says, okay, now we're potentially reversing trend and flipping this from an overall bearish trend to a moderate bullish trend, and then maybe eventually to a fairly concretely bullish trend. But that's what I would look for from Astra. This downtrend supports. What does it do? This potential double bottom, but that could be really, I'd really look hard to see what it does there. These things, you see it's thrown them several times, right? It has several, even this, right? This looked like a double bottom. It had this brief recovery and then just plummeted even further. So it may not mean anything. To me, what I would want it to see, to feel like it was showing some true strength, would be bounce off of this purple zone, flip this 778 from resistance to support, and then start basing above $8 and basically bouncing between this 778 and this 838, and then look to see which way it breaks from that range. Meaning, does it make a strong move to the upside and breaches 838 and starts some price action above there, or does it fall back below 778 and then decides that it wants to come back down again? But yeah, that's my take on ASTR. It seemed like I had looked at this before, but I can't recall when or why. But I've never played it as far as I remember. But thanks for the request. Interesting chart, pretty erratic, kind of wild action. So kind of keep an eye on it and see if there's any, reversals of fortune here that might have a lot of upside potential. Who knows? We'll see. The whole market is in question right now. I think in question mode. All right, folks, I hope you survived the day okay today and that you're able to finish the week off strong in the days ahead. And I appreciate you watching. I will see you in the next video.